All right. Let's go ahead and kick things off. Well, welcome everyone to the Diversity in CS series and to this webinar, bringing your whole self into the workplace. My name is Brian Wells, and I'm a customer success manager with CoolLeaf, and I am so excited to be your host and moderator today. Before we dive in, I just wanted to ask everyone to take a moment and respond to the poll that we have here. And when you finish that, go ahead and put where you're logging in from like you already are in the chat. Can't wait to see all these, the different locations that we have here, and shout out to Sacramento, California while we're at it. But first, I wanted to thank Success Coaching and Success in Black for working together to host this webinar. For those of you who aren't familiar with Success Coaching, they are a world leader in customer success training. Their mission is to reinvent the customer success training experience for leaders and for customer success managers, making it accessible, effective, and actionable. They offer a variety of training options from self-paced online courses, live instructor-led boot camps, 12-week coaching programs, as well as live events such as CS Mastermind and CS Leadership Roundtable. So to find out more about what Success Coaching can offer, please visit successcoaching.co, and the link will be dropped in the chat. But today, I am extremely proud to be representing Success in Black, a new organization that is creating a platform for Black professionals in customer success. We aim to elevate Black professionals in CS by providing powerful resources to help them advance in their careers. So connect with us you can connect with us by following us on LinkedIn and signing up on our website, successinblack.co. But before we start with this fantastic panel that we have today, we're going to kick it over to Ashley with just a few housekeeping things.
All right, so just so you know that this call will be recorded. We ask that you use the Q&A box for all of your questions that you may have throughout the webinar. And then please use the chat box for all your other commentary. Just so you know, the recording of this webinar will be available by the beginning of next week. Please visit successcoaching.co to view the final recording. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. So before we jump into the actual discussion today, I want to kick it over to our panelists and allow for them to introduce themselves. We have a fantastic group here, and I myself am extremely excited to hear and learn from them as I'm moderating this conversation today. So Ralphette, I'm going to kick it over to you first. You want to say a little something about yourself, and then we'll go ahead and move down the line.
Thank you, Brian. So I'm Ralphette. Everyone calls me Ralphie. I'm head of customer success at DeepGram. I live in Southern California, and I've been in customer-facing roles for going on 17 years. And I've spent the last 4 years transitioning teams to customer success, as well as building customer success teams from the ground up.
Awesome. Nair, do you want to go ahead and go next?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I'm in fabulous company. I'm Nye. I'm living in New Jersey here. I'm currently a customer success manager at Flowsome, which is a DevOps solution for release management. And I'm also the founder of Black Women in Customer Success, which is a resource group. And we are now at 800 members and counting. So very excited to be here. And I'll hand it over to Ornella.
The fabulous intro there. My name is Orla Jacobs. I'm actually based in the UK in Cambridgeshire. I'm a senior customer success manager at Mindbody. It's a wellness and beauty platform. And I've been in customer success for about 6 years now.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. So let's go ahead and kick things off with this discussion and why we're all here. And the first thing I wanted to ask each of you is, why is it important to bring your authentic self to the workplace? And Ralphie, I'm going to kick it over to you first. If you want to go ahead and take this.
I would say because anything else is uncivilized. Seriously, like I've been in the game for a while, so As a Black woman, years of code switching simply to fit in because I was typically the only Black woman or one of very few in the room, it was exhausting. And I think I'm kind of at a point in my career where each day I've decided you're getting Ralphie, and Ralphie is confident in who she is. She's expressive in her interactions. So for me, that means you're getting my pink and blue hair. You're getting my glasses that I change every day, and my Southern kind of city girl accent because that part of me is easy. It's easy for me to be me. And when I don't have the pressures of just being someone else or something else in the workplace, I'm able to really bring best to the table. There's very few Black women that are leaders in customer success. So when I was moving into, the leadership side of CS, it was important for me to be authentic in a sense to kind of pave the way for other women that look like me. And in doing so, I began to notice, how important it was to allow customer success managers, even like support engineers, those people that are in the CS ecosystem, to really just allow them to be who they are. And from a leader's perspective, I began to kind of throw out the window my expectations of what a CSM should be. I stopped putting them in a box, where they had to check off these specific skills. And instead, I started to focus on, more of them being the individual that they are because that individuality is what really helps them to build strong relationships and strong partnerships within their customer base. So, for me, being authentic is the only way. And I'm consistently encouraging others to do the same.
I love that. And I want to just piggyback off of what Rafa is saying. I echo her sentiments. Our authenticity matters and it's necessary because when you see me, when a Black woman, another Black woman sees me in this role, they say to themselves, I can do it. So I represent an affirmation of what is possible. And we need that. We need that presence.
I really love what you said, and I also want to add to that when we talk a lot about representation. It's been a big talk for so many years now, and I think that even for us as adults, it's just very important to see somebody else that looks similar to you doing what you do, and it is whether you do that within your role or wherever you show up. I get a lot of message of people telling me these things, and when they see us out there doing what we do, it really gives them that hope that they can do the same. And representation is just very important. And it's not just for children, for us as well as adults. And I feel like we talk a lot about it for kids, but we tend to forget it that as we were the children of yesterday as well. And if the representation stops at a certain point, then we're not going to enter some different areas as well.
Yes, and Alan, just to echo what you're saying, I'm sorry, Brian, it just takes us back to when we were younger, when we would see those dolls. I'm sure every single Black girl can remember your first interaction with a doll or going down the aisle and looking at a doll and none of the dolls look like you, or there's a very limited selection and then you feel like something is missing or that you're not invited or you're not welcome. And so I represent an affirmation and an invitation. We all do. Rafet, my co-panelists, Arnella and Rafet, we represent an affirmation. We are an affirmation to the question, am I welcome? Is this possible? And that's why it's important to see us and to promote that visibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nair, I'm going to actually kick this back your way again. And while we're on the topic of representation, I know we've talked and, we've had opportunities to speak ourselves. And you spoke to how, seeing and meeting Rafet for the first time and seeing somebody in leadership, somebody that looked like you and how powerful that was for you. Do you want to talk a little bit more about, seeing somebody in CS and seeing what Rafet's doing and the impact that made for you in your career?
Yes. So it made a huge impact. I tell her this all the time. I'm on her calendar. I'm always in her business. I pick her brain. I want to know what she's doing, what she's up to, how she thinks. I mean, I am so grateful that she has accepted the position of my mentor. And I'm a sponge when it comes to all of her ideas. And so I remember when I looked at customer success as an option, one of the first things that I came across was success coaching and the success hacker content. And I remember seeing Rafet as one of the top strategists. And she looked like me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, she's a mother. She has children. She's in tech, all of these things. And so it became almost like a invitation for me to get engaged and to look at the possibilities that I have available, because there's already someone who looks like me in this position. So I don't have to go against the grain. I can essentially go under her wing, ask questions, and figure out how to navigate the life cycle from my own position. And I want to do that for others. And that's what Black Women in Customer Success is about. It's about offering mentorship in the space for us to cultivate and share information, resources, stories, and connect with each other.
And I'll piggyback on that, Nye. Nye was one of the first people to reach out to me last year after the list came out. And it was an eye opener for me, even looking at the list and kind of scrolling through and trying to connect with people on LinkedIn in customer success. And I kept scrolling and scrolling. And I'm like, there's very few women that look like me. I mean, it was an eye opener. And what I started to do is really dedicate my time to not living in a box, because, the reality is in tech, there's not a lot of, people that look like me. And I really said, let me start helping to bring them along the way. Customer success isn't well known really outside of tech. So, partnering with Nye and, Black Women in Customer Success and really just opening my calendar was one of the things that I felt I needed to do, so I could kind of model what it looks like to bring your whole self and to be confident in the role that you're in. So yeah, I definitely appreciate Nye for doing that, because she really kind of opened my eyes to saying, there are a lot of people that look like us, and there's a lot of Nyes in this world who just really need guidance on what they need to do and how to break into the industry and how to grow, their careers in customer success.
I love that. And Nye, you talked about motherhood and some of the difficulties that come with being just a human, and as well as being a professional. So I'd love to hear from you in terms of, what would you say are some of the most difficult parts of bringing your whole self to the workplace?
For me, I would say in terms of difficulty, it's hard to imagine how I could scale my career as a mother. And, with being as active as I would like to be, I feel like some of the people who tend to get promotions in any role, not even specifically customer success, are the people who can come in before everyone else and leave after everyone else. And I feel like with mothers, a lot of times we feel like there's a limitation around that, not with customer success. If you're doing customer success in the right way, there are plenty of ways to scale your career, because customer success is also about being efficient. It's also about finding resources. It's about using data. So you don't have to be the first one in the office and the last one to leave. You just have to be efficient at what you're doing. You have to be able to ask questions. So I want to make sure that I invite mothers to see themselves in these roles and to see themselves with a scalable career, and to not disqualify themselves because they are mothers. And it is important for mothers to speak up when they are in meetings and say things like, I would prefer to have this meeting during the workday as opposed to after work hours. I would prefer to engage in network events that are happening during the workday, because when I have time after work, it's going to go to my family. My family is the reason why I'm doing all this, and I don't want to feel bad about doing that. I want to be able to, so me representing being a mother and a professional, it invites other mothers to say, hey, I want to do that too, or I share the same sentiments. And fostering community is where we see variety really show up and answer the questions that we have. So if anyone can take anything away from this, please do not disqualify yourself. If you are a mother, if you are a neurodivergent like myself, if you have ADHD or dyslexia like myself, you can thrive in this position. You can cope in this position. And if you need help with that, reach out to your community like Black Women in Customer Success and speak to us about it. And we will guide you. We'll be there. We'll have conversations about this.
And I'll piggyback on that, because we were talking about what's difficult to bring your whole self. You mentioned like setting boundaries. I'm a mother of 5. My oldest is in college. My youngest is in kindergarten. So you can imagine the gap there. But I think, when you start to learn to say no and set those boundaries, it also kind of helps you come out of your shell and really start to, bring your whole self, because this is me. I'm coming with my family. I'm coming with my children. I'm coming with everything that's a part of me. So setting those boundaries, honestly, for me, that was one of the first things that helped me really start to say, this is Ralphie, this is what you get, this is what I'm bringing to the table, was starting with setting boundaries and not being okay with what the status quo is of coming in early and leaving late, and saying, I'm able to get my job done in this amount of time, and being okay with that and continuing to strive and grow in my career.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to add something to this as well. I'm also a mother. My daughter is 2 years old, and I remember that after I gave birth, it was actually the first time that I started behaving more efficiently at work. Until then, I was doing long hours, overdoing it, doing more for customers outside of working hours. And I think becoming a mother actually made me a better employee in overall, because I needed to have a point. I'm not going to work for people forever, and I'm not going to be available all the time for everybody. And I think I started respecting my own time as well a lot better, because I had a child and I was not going to hide that. And I wanted to kind of I was very shy at the beginning doing it, but I started understanding that people were actually more respectful of me providing something else other than work, and saying, especially because I was honest about it. And I was saying, well, this is my daughter. And I started realizing that people were very understanding to it. I think one of the big misconceptions that happens out there is that everyone thinks that if they say that they can't do something because they need to take care of something else that's more important to them, that they're going to be penalized for it. And actually, no, if there is something that's very important to you, meaning it's what makes you who you are as a person, it's what makes you happy, people will always respect that. And that's whether it's about children. We talked about children today, but it could also be something to do with health. If somebody is very into their meditation and they need to meditate every day at 9, for example, that's what makes them feel good. A manager will respect you for you telling them that, you know what, the reason why you can't take a customer call at 9 is because you love to meditate. And I really want everyone on this webinar today to understand and to be able to transfer and translate our examples with being mothers with every other part of their lives as well that makes them happy. So, yeah.
And understanding that motherhood is also it can be a part of your value package. Okay, so I'm bringing my ability to nurture, my curiosity. And being a mother, I'm very curious about not just band-aiding anything. I want to get to the root of things, because I'm a natural, inquisitive nurturer. And I bring those aspects to my role. And by doing that, the customer, my work environment, other people benefit, because I am a natural helper. I'm a natural sourcer. I am naturally curious. And so by being your authentic self and thriving, you invite others to thrive. You invite others to expand and to benefit, and you invite others to connect. We know that when we foster genuine connections, that's when we see the fruit of our labors.
Yeah, I think that's really good. Like, shifting the atmosphere of the people around you. Like, I become more transparent and vulnerable, especially with my team, when things are difficult for me, and when things are really good for me. And that's really helped to give them a safe space around, hey, it's okay if I need that 9 o'clock meditation. It's okay if I need to sign off early. So I think, bringing your whole self to work, it's a group effort. It's something that you do within your community, within your team, and being transparent, setting those boundaries is really, really important for you to really get to a point where you're able to bring your whole self to work.
Here's what we have to know. Every last one of us are entirely worthy to take up space. And someone is waiting to see you be you. Who you are will naturally serve, the consequence of who you are will naturally serve your community.
Love that. I'm going to pivot just slightly, but as we talk about, setting boundaries, not only in your personal life, but also within our professional life, and Ornella, really with you and some of the efficiencies that came with motherhood for you. I would love to hear, whether or not you feel constrained in your ability to kind of deliver on some of the executive presence needed in your role in customer success.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like to be able to create great relationship with clients, we need to be able to be ourselves. I need to be able to be myself. And I don't really feel like that there is any other way about that. So the idea for me that I will need to do my job while having to hide a big part of my personality, for example, it sounds a bit daunting, even though it did happen before in previous experiences, especially early on in my career, where I always felt like fitting in meant me being different and acting differently from who I was. But with regards to my CSM role, initially I actually transitioned from a technical account management role to customer success at MindBuddy, and a lot was actually to do with my personality. Although I am the only Black girl in the region that I operate in, EMEA, because I'm in the UK, I've always come into work and showed up to work with my personality and just being me. And I think a lot of people realize straight away that, okay, she's a bubbly person, she's curious, she's entrepreneurial, she's very good with rapport, she's very good with people. And being the very first CSM, we didn't really know who we wanted for the role. We didn't really know what we were doing. That was 6 years ago. It was still fairly new for everyone. But we understood that, okay, for this role, we need somebody who's good with people. And it was a bit of a no-brainer, and it was a natural switch as well for me. So, and because again, I was the first CSM, my early calls even had the VP sitting on it. There was no way to hide. So I was not going to behave a certain way with my colleagues in the office and then act differently on the phone. No, the VP is right there. The client knows how you act. If you're acting strange because somebody else is on the call, it's gonna look different. But I really think that me deciding as well to straight away fading, accepting who I am as a person, even though there is nobody else like me in the room, accepting who I am and embracing it really actually put me into this career. So I'm grateful for that, and I can only see positive benefits of showing up as your true self in the workplace. And I would encourage everyone and anyone to do it. If you feel that you can't do it, it's just not a good match. And I think people need to realize that it's not just a bad thing for the company that they work for, but also for themselves. Because how do you grow as a person when you limit yourself from the get-go? There is nothing good that's going to come out of it.
I'll piggyback on that. I think there's a level of realness and authenticity that is needed in order to really, truly build relationships. How can you be effective as a CSM if you're not showing your whole self? So, if that means you talk different, your style is different, your hair is different, your authentic presence is needed in the room because each of us bring a different perspective, especially in tech, because a lot of, tech nowadays really doesn't include the perspective of people of color. So when you're in that room, speaking up and being vocal is really, really important. And, just being real and being who you are and being okay with that, I think will definitely serve you as you continue to grow in your career.
I agree with you, Rafa. And then to echo your sentiments, I will also say that we have a responsibility for ourselves to demonstrate appropriately. We have to demonstrate who we are and be authentic, because then we can't, if we don't answer the gap, then we can't really be upset about it, right? We have to address it. We have to make room for ourselves. We have to be the bridge, and so that is really important because there's so many people that we can connect with, and we miss out on opportunities when we don't offer our authentic selves.
I love that. Earlier, Nair mentioned, different ways to scale your career and having really a scalable career. Ornella, I'm going to kick it over to you, but do you feel like, bringing your whole self, impacts your ability to grow your brand as a CSM?
Yes. Totally. I feel it does, in a positive way for me. It's been, over a year ago now, I decided that I was also going to start growing my brand as a person, as a professional online, and started posting more on LinkedIn. I turned 30, and then there was a lot of reflection happening about who I am as a person, what do I like, what do I want to do, why do I always hold back certain things? And I was like, I'm 30 now, and I just want to do something else. I want to challenge myself a little bit and find my tribe in the workplace as well, and in the professional industry. So basically, I started, I chose LinkedIn, and I started posting quite a lot about different topics and also customer success because it was my job. And I felt like at the time, I didn't really see many people looking like me doing it. It really took a long time for me to find my people. But I started doing it, and a lot of good came out of that. I think um, what I what I used to think before was that everybody had something great to talk about and was more of an expert, and that I was explaining things in my own way. I had my own experience, my own truth, and it was just so different. My experience was different as a CSM, the way I was talking about it, because I've always been, um, um, I always loved, the industry and talking about the industry, but I just didn't find people that were doing it like me. And putting myself out there and challenging myself really exposed me to a lot of opportunities. So I think people feel like they need to network internally only or within the company to grow as a CSM, but actually I feel like taking it online is opening up so much more opportunities. And it did actually eventually help me find my tribe. I realized that I was just one step ahead of somebody else, or somebody was just two steps behind, and I could help them. And I think when you start realizing that you can help so many people, because I think we always think we're not good enough. We always think that, oh, when I get there, I will start helping people. When this happened, then I will do this. We always think we need to do so much, and almost like we are waiting for something huge to be able to help others, when really it's as easy as thinking, what do I know, and how do I know it? So like just your own through. And I've realized that that alone was enough for so many. And I was also able to be an inspiration for others, the same way I was inspired by other people. I remember when I first came across Naya's content, and seeing this mother that's there, like her, talking about like breastfeeding and also being a CSM and juggling it all. Like at the time, like I said, I was a new mom myself, and I was just very embarrassed about all of this. Coming back to work after maternity leave was very, very hard. And I think creating content and coming across people like Naya and more people in the community allowed me to accept this new person that I was as well, becoming a mother, because people don't really talk about challenges that they have. And I think sometimes you need to see people that look like you going through what you are going through to really believe that you have a way of making this work for yourself. So yeah, it was game changing for me, and I think if people can grow they brand online, they should. And I think the way they need to look at it is not that they need to think about being an expert in something that they want to talk about. It's just when you start creating content online, you do a lot of reflection. You need to reflect on what you know, on what you do, and what you attract and how you do things. It also made me a good employee. I mean, having to explain why I go through a certain process and how I make success plans. If I want to write a post about it, I need to start thinking about what I do at work, because I do it with my eyes closed. But how can I explain it to somebody else? I'm developing a new skill. So I definitely think that it can have a positive impact. Creating content is not just about getting followers and having a lot of people coming to you. There is a lot of internal work that comes with putting yourself out there and branding yourself.
Arnella, just to piggyback off what you said, there is an intimacy to brand management as well, especially if you want authentic, if you want to promote yourself in an authentic way and connect with people at an authentic level. And I think for me, realizing that our brand often does extend to our workplace and how other people perceive us, I want to invite more women to be candid in these interactions. It's okay to say, I don't feel like having that meeting today because I have excruciating cramps and I can't do that. Is this going to be recorded? Or my child, I need to block this time off my calendar so that I can breast pump, because otherwise, I don't know if you're aware of this formula shortage or not, my child is going to have a way to eat. People will be receptive to that because that is real.
Yeah, I think I've personally struggled with the content piece because of, like what you said, it kind of expands into work. And when you're in a leadership role, like CS is a lot and you're dealing with a lot. But what I did was, after I really started to see like, oh, there aren't a lot of people that look like me, I said, okay, how can I meet people where they are? And I think, there are tons of CS content out there. I kind of thought about taking a different approach. And instead I was like, okay, I don't have time to write content. Like it's just impossible for me to do that. So my brand really became being behind the scenes and saying, okay, I'm going to increase my visibility in specific forums that are specific for Black women. I'm going to open my calendar to, individual women or people of color and start talking to them, ones that are looking to break into CS and giving them 30 minutes of my time to just say, hey, here are some resources that's helped me. These are some things you should consider, and kind of going from there. Working with Nye on Black women in customer success has been great. And to see that group grow so quickly to over 800 members has just been mind blowing. And then just coaching, like I see a few leaders in the chat, even though we don't have a lot of time on our calendar most days, I do think giving back and starting to meet people where they are, and giving opening our calendar to coaching some people would definitely help kind of bridge the gap. So that's kind of become my brand, because I'm like the content thing. And I think Nye and I had this conversation is like, I can write a post, but it'll probably take me like 2 days to kind of get it out. But I'm like, but I can do this very well. Like me meeting with people is something I can do easily, versus trying to write a post that I sit and read multiple times before I post it.
I love what you're saying here, Ralphie. Sorry, I just want to add as well something else. It's just because at the beginning as well, that's what I used to do. I remember that at first I was writing content and I was very good at it. But when I started attracting people in my inbox, when I think of, I probably had like 50 calls just talking with people who either want to get into CSM or want to understand what the role is about, etc. And I remember I was doing it. My husband was looking at me thinking like, why are you doing this? Like, you're not getting paid to do this. It's like it's your job. You're having calls at like 9 p.m. in the evening. You're having calls at 7 p.m. in the afternoon. And I was just like, I need to help those people, because I remember being this person on LinkedIn that used to go in DMs and I was not getting any answer. And when I started seeing other Black folks coming to me and messaging me, I was just like, wow, I have a responsibility here. And I love to create content, and I will still continue to do that because I feel like I have a bit of a gift. And the more I can continue to educate people through doing that would be awesome. But there is something really, really powerful about being able to give your time and to offer your time to somebody else. It's huge. And so, yeah, I feel like there isn't really like a perfect way of doing it. And I think all is needed.
I think that was one of the main reasons that I decided to create the group, is because, well, I'm in customer success. So what am I thinking about? Scalability, right? It wasn't sustainable for me to meet with people on a regular basis one-to-one. So let's start a group and start a one-to-many approach where we can have all these conversations and it can become a sustainable resource.
I love that. So with time in mind, we're going to go ahead and thank you all, I guess, before we transition. Thank you for your responses. I think these were incredible. And you can see in the chat that we're getting a ton of great response, and everyone seems to be really appreciative for everything, that you all are doing up here. But we have some great questions that have been asked. And we're going to go ahead and pivot and go to this Q&A over here. So I'm going to start off just at the top, and if time kind of runs out, we'll get to some of these additional questions as well. But first question that got asked, and whoever wants to chime in first, please feel free. But it was, why is it sometimes hard to show up authentically? Are there risks, downsides? How should we overcome them? I know we've talked quite a bit about this already, but if anybody wants to tackle this.
I think there's always a risk with being the first, but there's always, when you don't have a guideline, what are the things we ask for, right? Just think about customer success. Hey, is there a template for this, right? So when there is no template or guideline for this, then it's hard, because now we're crafting out of nothing. So I would say whenever we are being our authentic selves, we answer a question, whether that question has been formally asked or not.
I think also be self-reflective. If you start to identify some risk or downsides to being authentically you, like, is that the right place for you? Is that the right role for
100%.
you? Like let's be real. Like, if you can't be who you are in the role that you're in, I say 100% you should be reevaluating where you are, the company, even if, this is a good fit for you in customer success overall. And that's just being real. Like, you have to think about yourself and, first, before anything else.
Awesome. This one I think will be quick. Savannah asked, just knowing you all, are you willing to serve as mentors for other Black women in CS? She has some team members that would love to be connected with other Black women in the field. I'm sure the answer is a resounding yes, but please feel free.
Yeah, have you guys ever heard of this group? It's called Black Women in Customer Success. We're on Facebook. We're at over 800 members. There are plenty of resources in the group. I even do a piece on Saturday mornings, coffee chats with Nye, where I review different topics. I'm talking about onboarding. I'm talking about adoption. I'm talking about how to organize your customers according to sentiment. I'm talking about how to respond to engagement issues that you might have with customers, talking about proactive strategies, scaling your career, whatever you want. We are talking about these topics, different options for you within the customer success ecosystem based on your skills. And this is what we do in the group. So get active, get engaged, ask questions. Don't be shy. We're there.
And have them connect with us on LinkedIn. I think that's definitely a good start. I always tell people, like, hey, if you're really looking to network with other CS professionals, the best place to start is the top 100 strategist list. Go back a few years and start looking through that list and connect with people. I think, even beyond us, there are a lot of Black women in the community that would be open to doing some coaching.
Yeah, I'm just going to say same as well, like LinkedIn. Happy to connect on LinkedIn. Join as well, Success in Black. Great community as well. Same as Naya's, and great opportunity to mingle with people, get to know others, and ask questions openly and really get the support that you need. So yeah, totally.
Love it. So Rochelle asked, any tips for navigating different personalities at work?
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one. I'll let you go.
So early in my career, one of my mentors recommended reading Personality Plus. And I can't remember the author, but it was a great book because it helped me to realize, one, my personality, and then how my personality works with other personalities. There's tons of different tests you can take and all those different things. But I think the most important part with different personalities is just allowing people to be human, be who they are. I think, different personalities are a plus in customer success. No one on my team is the same. They are all very different, and they all bring very different perspectives to how they manage their accounts. And I just allow them to be who they are. And in doing so, their personalities shine through. I never try to make them something that they're not. I allow them to take who they are and just expand and grow and really build relationships based on the personality.
I will say difficult personalities or personality misfits are a natural part of life. We shouldn't let those kind of things deter us from where we want to be. If you have a goal, I like to tell people, think of like an archer with an arrow. Have like tunnel vision almost. Look at the target of where you want to be, and then you pull. And the difference with that with an archer is that they have a lot of intention. So if you keep your intentions purified and specific to you, it really won't matter what other people are doing around you within reason. Obviously, I don't want anyone to subject themselves to any abusive situations or anything like that. But when it comes to just personality misfits, that's just something that unfortunately we have to deal with on occasion. But it does sharpen you. There is opportunity. If you start to look at obstacles as opportunity to where you can be sharpened, to where you can develop a skill or hone your craft, I think that perspective shift will be more advantageous to anyone who's willing to accept it.
I love it. This is a great question, and I'm really excited to hear your responses to this. But Ariel asked, as a white male leader in customer success, what would you suggest are the top one or two things I can do to support Black CSMs in their career development that would be different from supporting people of other backgrounds?
Hi, Ariel. That's my boss, by the way. Thanks for watching. So I would say that for number one, opening up your calendar on LinkedIn, using your voice to explicitly say, hey, I'm looking to coach 3 Black women or 2 Black women who are looking to elevate in customer success. You could also partner with me if you like, or Success in Black, to find out what other candidates, where these candidates are, and just getting time on your calendar to get that perspective. The biggest asset is information, specifically when you have minority groups. A lot of times we just don't have access to information. We don't have access to resources that are people who are in the roles in which are that are hiring for where we want to be, or where others like myself want to be. So specifically opening your calendar and say, hey, this is my target. I'm opening myself up for this specific resource. I would say that would be number one. And I'll let Rafa answer for number 2.
This is gonna put me on the spot, huh? No, I like that question, Ariel. I do think number 2 would be listen. I think having the white male perspective is always good for any culture. So not just listening, but also, providing feedback and allowing, Black women, people of color to provide you feedback. One thing is a lot of leaders don't take feedback or even ask for feedback from the people that they're working with. So I don't think there's a cookie cutter answer to this, but the individuals that are on your team can absolutely give you feedback on how you can support them individually in a better way. So I would start there, listening and soliciting feedback from the people that you're working with, because that's probably the best way to say, hey, how can I support you and what you're doing? How can I support your career growth? What are things that I can do better as a leader to really help you, in your role? I do that every single one-on-one. That's how we end our one-on-one. I rarely have to give feedback a lot to my team, but they are constantly giving me feedback so I can not only improve as an individual, but improve our overall team.
And I just want to add one more piece, just being intentional and speaking specifically to us, addressing the population that you seek to help specifically. Because sometimes when you say I'm open to help, that's open for everybody. I'm open to helping Black women, Black men advance. I want to offer my privilege, my perspective, and help you all use that to leverage where you want to be. Being explicit is helpful.
I was just going to say as well, hi, Ariel. Love this type of question, by the way. And actually taking action and actually offering and giving opportunities to people. What I've realized is that a lot of companies, what they love to do is they like to create a little group of Black folks. So can you guys please sit down and talk about how we can help you and what we can do to help you? And how can we bring more people in that looks like you? What can we do to make you comfortable? No, there is plenty of resources out there. And I think, Black people, sometimes it gets a bit tiring to constantly having to explain what you need to feel comfortable, where there is so much resources out there. If you want to provide an opportunity to a Black person, you can just do it. If you want to find them, well, we're not hiding under a rock. And I think it would be great if a lot of leaders start to understand that this little, let's create a little group so they can chat within themselves every week, and then they can give us a feedback. It's cute, but nobody gets promoted, nobody gets any opportunities. Why are we doing it? How long are we doing it for? So if you want to give an opportunity to someone, you just do it. If you're looking for someone and you want to give them an opportunity, you just go to them. And that's okay, because we easily do it when it's a white person. When it's a Black person, we're just like, oh yeah, but I don't want to put you on the spot because you're Black. No, if you want to give me
Black is not a bad word.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Got another really good question here. Someone asked, do you have any habits that anyone could begin to form to help us create the environment for others to be their authentic selves, especially if they don't identify the same as myself or yourself or in some other role of CSM, so basically human to human?
Can I speak to this first, please? I would say telling the truth on where you are. Whenever we're having a meeting, when things happen in the world, when, big situations happen that impact us emotionally, being transparent, not necessarily on your social medias, because what I would say is sometimes there can be a discrepancy between what leadership puts on their social media and how they interact with their actual employees. And so just having consistency there, if something resonates with you enough to put a message out there, if something impacts a specific community, specifically Black people, and you're aware of it, and putting it, instead of putting it, in the general kind of like LinkedIn echo chamber situation, speak to the individuals that you say that you care about and be there for them.
All right. Another really good question here. So Hilda asked, did you show up authentically at your interview or sometime after you started working?
At the interview. Don't do bait and switching. Absolutely not. Like, I think if you do that in the interview, they know what they're getting. And if they make a decision to move forward with you, then they know what they're getting. I think it's really important for you to be who you are from the start. That way you can identify red flags during the interview. And there aren't any surprises once you get your offer and you start working with them. So be who you are during the interview.
I was going to say as well, for me, now that I'm putting myself out there and creating a lot of content on LinkedIn, it's actually hard now to attract the wrong people, because literally recruiters are like, hey, I can see you like this, I can see you like that. Now they know who I am and they're contacting me based off of what they see. And that's why, from the interview, you want to do it. But if you have as well a brand online, it's also going to do that job for you. You're going to repel the people that are wrong fit for you.
This goes back to literally my mantra for life, and everyone knows it, I'm sure. The truth will set you free. Do not put yourself in bondage. Do not lie. Do not act like you're going to be a culture fit. And yes, I am sensitive to the fact that we have economic straits that we want to accomplish and, overcome. But I'm telling you, you will make yourself miserable by trying to fit in a box that you don't belong in. Both of my bosses are on this live, because I just saw a comment from the other one, Justin. I remember going through the interview process in a different company, not where I'm at now. And he asked, what do you want to do? Where do you want to end up? I want to be the head of customer success. Tell the truth. Let people know what you want to do. It doesn't matter who you're interviewing with. That's where I want to end up. I know that I have to draw a line from where I am and where I want to be, but I don't want to be around leaders that aren't going to enable me to get there. And so understanding that your work is a partnership. Yes, you are fulfilling a role, but they owe it to you to support where you want to end up, or it's not good leadership. If it's not conducive to my growth, to my overall scope of where I see myself, what I want to do, and it doesn't enable me with those resources. If I'm not being paid what I want to be paid, all very important things. That is important, and you want to express these things in a conversation early on in the interview process, or if you're wasting your time and the person who's interviewing you.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. We only have a couple of more questions here. Rochelle has another question in here. What are ways companies can bolster an environment of belonging?
I always go back to listening. I think, as Ornella said, creating these groups of, hey, Black people, we want to hear from you. No, involve us in the conversation. Give us a seat at the table. So we can really, really be involved in decisions that are being made, whether it's from product or, decisions around HR and people and diversity decisions. Just don't include us in just the diversity piece. I see a lot of companies make the mistake of, we're going to talk to all the Black people when it's, around, diversity and those types of conversations. That's great and all, you get our perspective, but what about if you're building a product that impacts people of color? When you want to talk to people of color to make decisions around how you're building that product. I think, I'm in the world of AI. And if facial recognition and different things don't even pick up our faces. I mean, I was in the bathroom the other day and went to put my hand under the water thing and it didn't pick up. It was not seeing my hand. So those are types of things you have to really think about and say, I don't want to just be in the diversity conversations. I want you to bring me to the table when you're making company decisions. And I think that's once they start doing that, it'll be an environment of belonging. And I think someone earlier said companies and people are starting to really see, they want companies, especially tech companies, to look like the world, look like society. And it's important to do that, not just to meet quotas and to meet numbers when it comes to hiring, but when you're making those company decisions and all of those different things. So yeah, a seat at the table is definitely beyond just the diversity table. Like, give us a true seat, give us opportunities to really speak up when we need to.
And I would also say, in addition to that, address the gap. It's two sides to the coin there. While yes, you do want to put us in all the different spaces and there should be visibility across the board, address the gap. We can't act like it's not there. There has to be, in some cases, different types of talent development, different types of coaching that is offered. Diversify, the job function itself and how you actually enable the job function. So we have to look at those things too and make sure that we're providing resources that enable the people that we say we want to include.
Love that.
Brian, I just want to answer as well the question from LinkedIn because
absolutely,
looking for pointers. So the person was saying looking for pointers to transition for account management role to CSM. It was addressed to me because of my story. But I would say for that one, it's mainly a mindset switch. Obviously, the account it was technical account management role. So I had to, my thinking in that role was mainly technical. And I needed to start thinking of the bigger picture. It was no longer technically how to troubleshoot and to have a creative way of setting up the software or supporting my customer. I needed to start developing new skills. And I think when it comes to CSM, whether you're going to join Naya's group or Success in Black or start looking at our resources, we're sharing a lot of resources on what are the skills that are actually required for the role as a CSM. And for some of them, it would be, developing multitasking, working with different departments, project management. It's all of this that you want to develop a lot more rather than being solely focused on, doing a specific part of the job. It's quite diverse. So I think learning those skills are going to be helpful. There you go.
Naya, Ralphie, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think she covered it. Go ahead, Naya.
No, I was just going to say also from the technical account manager aspect, I work with TAMs pretty much every day. We're like two sides of a coin. We kind of like synchronized swimmers. And I would say just shifting your focus from a tactical. I do feel like when you are in that technical account management role, it's a break fix kind of, it can be break fix, it can be reactive. And so you partner that kind of understanding, the technical understanding, to get more into a strategic approach. And once you look at things from a larger scale, business outcomes, understanding the business, how do you drive that business? How do you drive adoption? How do you drive quarterly goals as opposed to just a means to an end project kind of focus? So when you open up and expand, you should be able to make those connections.
Awesome. So we have one last question in here. And it's, what happens when people keep it too real? And most importantly, when someone else being their authentic self clashes with you and what you believe in.
Getting into beliefs, I don't know. That's different. I feel like everyone has their own beliefs. I will say that, and regardless of any environment, everyone should be welcome at the core of who they are, right? When it gets into specifics, we're always going to have difficulties because that's what humans do. We argue with each other, but that's beside the point. I do feel like you have to look at the issue and say, is this a professionalism kind of thing? Because we do have to admit that in most of these spaces, professionalism has been painted white. The default has been painted white. I think that we have to be open to how we perceive professionalism and make it just the bare bones. Is someone amicably doing their job? And that's what it really comes down to in terms of professionalism. It doesn't have a certain look. It doesn't have an aesthetic. It doesn't have a certain accent. So when we take away those personality and idiosyncrasies that make us us, and at the core is just, are people in a pleasant work environment? Are you offering, an amicable, an amicable work environment to the other or to the customer, the client? That's where it comes down to, whether or not we're being professional? Because that's where I think that's what the person who's asking the question is getting at. Essentially, when they say too real, I think we're talking about like professionalism, right? Is that what you guys are feeling too, Rafet or Nella?
I think so. I would also just kind of say, because I'm a big self-reflection person, what does keeping it too real mean? Like, I think if you are saying someone else is keeping it too real, that may be a personal thing for you. You know, maybe you are offended, or maybe you're just not used to their culture, or you're not used to who they are. So sometimes you just kind of have to take a step back and define, figure out, why are you defining it as being too real? Like, that's something that I don't quite understand, because I mean, people are people are who they are, and you have to think about, you don't know their environment, you don't know their culture, you don't know their background, and being too real to you is just them being who they are.
I would say as well, just to wrap up on that question, that there is a time and place as well. People are able to have certain tools on certain topics, and they might think differently than you do. But think about when you want to react to something and how you want to react to things. And like, it's not even a question about like color now anymore. It's just in terms of like its personality and its professionalism as well. We're not in a pub when we're at work. If somebody is too real, well, depending on how it affects you, see and take the proper course to address that. Do you need to speak privately? Do you need to speak to HR? Do you need to speak to your boss? Assess the situation, but don't act straight away, if that makes sense.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's all the questions that we have for today. I want to first, kind of in closing, just kind of say that we thank you to everybody that joined, and thank you to our panelists for making this such an incredible and powerful discussion. We all hope that you got something out of this, and we want to end this discussion by urging you all to continue to invest in yourselves. So, in closing, please follow Success in Black on LinkedIn. To stay connected on our programs and events. I did see Ejime already drop that in the chat, but Ejime, if you can, please drop that in there once more. And also, please check out Success Coaching's website for more detailed information on what they can offer you as well. But thank you, everyone, and we appreciate you all joining.